Tyre Safe has launched its flagship Tyre Safety Month campaign for 2024 with a superhero initiative, Caught in the Act. As the weather changes and roads become more treacherous, this year's campaign aims to engage, educate, and inspire drivers to adopt life-saving tyre maintenance habits. The campaign highlights the importance of performing 3 key tyre checks: air pressure, condition, and tread, every month and before long journeys, empowering motorists to become tyre safety heroes. Despite ongoing efforts to improve road safety, the Department for Transport's latest report reveals a 29% increase in killed or seriously injured casualties linked to tyre-related incidents in 2023. This alarming rise from 147 to 190 casualties marks the highest number of tyre-related incidents since 2018. Tyre Safe is calling for stronger action to address this issue, including better reporting of tyre conditions at the scene of accidents and stricter enforcement of tyre safety regulations. Tyre Safe urges all road users to prioritise regular tyre checks and advocates for government intervention to tackle this growing concern. The campaign toolkit includes social media assets, animations, and customisable posters to support road safety advocates and partners in spreading the message. Join the conversation online using the hashtag #CaughtInTheAct and help raise awareness about the critical role that tyres play in keeping us safe on the roads. Today we're joined by Stuart Lovatt and Simon Hiorns from Tyre Safe to tell us more. Now Stuart, first question for you please. What's the message of this year's campaign?
This year's campaign beginning on Tuesday, the 1st of October. We traditionally tend to pick October because it was the wettest month of the year, but of course every month seems to be wet these days. But October is traditionally Tyre Safety Month. So this year we're asking people to be caught in the act, and the act being the air condition and tread that we're trying to encourage people. And we're asking people to be superheroes this year, to take that time, whether you're out and about or on work, business or pleasure, and to check your tyres before you go out on your journeys at the beginning of the month and again at the end of the month.
Great, thank you, Stuart. And Simon, why are regular tyre checks so important?
Well, thank you. If you don't maintain your tyres correctly, you have a fair chance that you may have a tyre on your car that is illegal or borderline. Why is this important? As the weather now has changed, I say that's slightly tongue-in-cheek, and we go towards more inclement weather with road surfaces changing, it's important that you know that if you've got a tyre that's worn on your car, at 50 miles an hour when you try and stop, your stopping distance will increase by the length of a bus. Now, that's pretty significant in terms of impacts and collisions. And as the road surfaces deteriorate from the summer conditions to winter conditions, on a worn tyre, that can grow to something like 4 bus lengths when you get ice and you get snow on the ground. So you really do have to think about the tread depth on your tyres to make sure that they are legal and well maintained. If I could also then talk about air pressure, because we talk about act and being caught in the act. So the air pressure element of that is if your tyres are underinflated, it'll affect the handling and the balance of your car, and it'll affect your ability to control that car. So again, as the road surfaces change, weather's change, you may be in a position, therefore, you cannot control your car. And in terms of the condition of your tyres, with that, you're checking for cracks and bulges. If you don't make that very basic check, just visually looking at your tyre, looking for those obvious things, you run the risk of a blowout. Now, an interesting statistic from National Highways is they deal with 50,000 tyre-related incidents per year on the National Highways network. So that's just the motorways and A roads. So there's a very real chance that you could become involved in an incident that is your fault, or an incident you get caught up in as a result of somebody else not checking their tyres.
And Stuart, what is Tyre Safe asking of government?
Yeah, well, the government at the moment, as we all know, is considering the development of a new road safety strategy. And what we are asking government to do, particularly led by the Department for Transport and its agencies, is also to join the campaign and to act. And by that, what we're asking for is for them to include a section within the road safety strategy or framework that they are developing to remind people of the need for road users to check the tyres and ensure that they're not driving on anything that is illegal or unroadworthy. Because the government's own road safety statistics, which were released yesterday, is showing a 29% increase in the number of people who are being killed or seriously injured as a contributory factor down to tyres. So whilst we're seeing a reduction in the number of fatals, which is great news, of course, we're seeing a reduction in all severity levels, really. But as the Department for Transport statistics are showing a return to pre-COVID levels in terms of mileage travelled across the UK, what we're saying is now's the time for the government to support greater compliance checks, greater enforcement, but also I think now is the time. There has been a DFT Think campaign, and we think now is the time to remind road users of the importance of doing the tyre safety checks, driving on safe and legal tyres, and I think it's important that the government now supports our call for action and to act by developing a Think campaign to help bring about significant change in the way people think of the tyres, because unfortunately it is not really in society's mindset that I'm setting off on a long journey to go to the airport or to go for work, and I'm going to be driving quite a long way, or even on short distances, but it's not in the mindset to check the tyres. So now is the time, I think, as part of the new government's strategy, to remind the public and particularly businesses of what they can do to reduce the risk.
And Simon, what is Tyre Safe asking of listeners?
We want them to act. So if we use that acronym, we simply want them to act. We would advocate them having a diary reminder just once a month to check the three elements of the tyre that are very simple to check. Firstly would be air pressure, and you can find the correct air pressure for your vehicle either inside the fuel flap or on the column on the driver's side of your car. That'll tell you what the correct pressure for your vehicle is. So check what it should be, and then you can either go and buy a pressure gauge or take it to a garage and get those pressures checked. Important they're correct, because they affect the wear of the tyre, they affect the longevity of that tyre, and they also affect the handling and the balance of the car. So point one is act by checking your air pressure. Point two is visually check the condition of your tyres. You're looking for anything unusual, cracks, bulges, foreign objects within the tread pattern. Do this because they might be the causation of a nasty incident like a blowout. Now, we know that National Highway statistics tell us that 50,000 incidents happen on the motorway network every year as a result of tyre failures or a problem with the tyre. So this happens more often than you think, and you can prevent it. And the third step under ACT is your tread depths. We would advocate you checking your tread depths once a month. Simplest way to do that at home, the most visual way I can describe, is that take a 20 pence piece. If you look at a 20 pence piece, there's a band that runs round the edge. That band is 2.6 millimetres thick. If you now take that 20 pence piece, physically go to your tyres, get down, put that into the tread depth. If when you drop it into the tread, that band disappears, you've got more than 2.6 millimetres of tread. The minimum legal requirement is 1.6 millimetres. So clearly if it drops into the tread depth, you've got more than 2.6, your tyre is safe. If, however, when you drop it into the tread at any point across the width of the tyre and it stands proud of the tread, you've got less than 2.6 millimetres. Now, bearing in mind the difference between 2.6 and the legal minimum of 1.6 is the thickness of a credit card, at that point, you should be taking your car to a garage to have its tread depths checked. So that's what we're asking for, and that's how you can become more proactive. So once a month, checking your air pressure, checking your condition, and checking your tread depths.
And Stuart, what message do you have for those who drive for work?
Well, I think it's important that we think about the legal aspects here. Whilst we, as a registered road safety charity and our focus is on campaigning, and we're aimed at all road users, there is a particular element that we also need to engage with, and those are those people who drive for work. So whether that be the fleet managers who own and operate a fleet of vehicles, or even if you're just the local tradesman who might have one or even two vans. They're the people who also are really important to engage with, because whilst many people think of the car that they drive with privately, they don't think of the company vehicle. They think of it as just something that's the company give them to get from A to B. They don't realise that is also an essential tool within their workplace. And also, whilst it's there are consequences for general road users, there are specific legal consequences for people who are driving on dangerous and illegal, unroadworthy vehicles for a company. So it's important that we work with government, with road safety partners, but we're also working increasingly closely with the Driving for Better Business campaign, which helps to put business-to-business messages out around what can businesses do to reduce their operating costs and to also reduce the risk of incidents that are taking place. So from a business point of view, there is no excuse in sending somebody out with illegal or defective tyres on their vehicle. We're asking businesses to join our campaign, to support what we're doing, and to help get that message out to reduce the risk.
And where can listeners find more information?
Well, we have a website, so tyresafe.org, so very, very easy to find. All of the information that we've talked about here and much, much more about all sorts of tyres are on there and how to maintain them. So we predominantly talk about car tyres, but we all talk about motorbikes, we talk about horse boxes, we talk about caravans. So any type of tyre, and advice and information on there and free resources to download to help you improve your diligence towards tyre safety.
Stuart Lovatt and Simon Hiorns from Tyre Safe, thank you so much for your time today. Stuart Lovatt and Simon Hiorns from Tyre Safe, thank you so much for your time today.